What up? This is my Q&A for this Sunday, March 8th, 2009. The first question is from BestYTChannel. There's 4 questions from this user. First question is, if Bryan Danielson were to go to the WWE, do you think they would have him as a main eventer straight away, or would they go through a similar push that CM Punk had, or would they completely fuck up and have him just be another Colt Cabana? Now, if Bryan Danielson would ever go to WWE, I do think WWE would actually utilize Bryan Danielson because they really don't have, that pure wrestling type, and Jack Swagger really isn't cutting it for ECW ever since, the whole Benoit tragedy, and ever since Kurt Angle no longer being with WWE. They need someone to kind of fill the void for, that pure wrestler type, and I think, if WWE has been interested in the past for Bryan Danielson. Right now, he's staying in Ring of Honor. I'm pretty sure his contract does end pretty soon, so I'm pretty sure he's going to re-sign with Ring of Honor. But if not, I wouldn't mind seeing him in WWE because I think they would actually utilize him. Now, as far as would they push him as a main eventer straight away? Hell no, they would not. I don't really like the idea of anyone coming in and being pushed straight to the main event. You saw what happened with it with Brock Lesnar. It worked for a little bit, but then after that, he pretty much accomplished everything he had to within the company so quickly that, after a year, he really didn't have much to do. So I think it's good to slowly build him to the main event. Now, if you put him on ECW, then you can put him, going for the ECW title, which is somewhat considered a main event title, at least for that brand it is. And then slowly, then after that, put him on Raw or SmackDown. Then I would think, you push him, kind of in the mid-card, then build him up. That was the one thing they kind of did wrong with CM Punk, was that he didn't, get the title too soon. That wasn't the problem with him, but the problem was that before he won the title, he was on ECW. He wasn't really doing much. When he was, showcased on Raw and SmackDown, he was pretty much doing a lot of job matches where he was jobbing to, Chris Jericho multiple times or William Regal. So it kind of looked, really stupid for him to be world champion. At least, for a casual fan, that's the way they probably thought, CM Punk's world champion, even though he's very over with the crowd, that's the outlook for most casual fans. Like the week before, he was on ECW or doing matches against Jericho or William Regal and couldn't defeat them. Now he's world champion. That was the problem they did with CM Punk, and then they didn't really do much with his title reign. So Bryan Danielson, like I said, if WWE were interested in him and wanted him in WWE, I think they would push him very slowly. But I do see him, if he would go at some point a main eventer, because he's definitely worthy of it. He's that good of an in-ring performer. I think anyone that's ever seen him will, attest to that. Then the next question is, many people are saying that with Petey Williams and Sonjay Dutt released from TNA, this is the beginning of the end for TNA. Do you think it is, or is this just a bad phase for them? Now, if you would have worded this question that, say, is this the beginning of the end for the X Division, then I would agree with you. Now, is this beginning of the end for TNA? Hell no. I mean, as good as Petey Williams is, as good as Sonjay Dutt is, neither one, had drawing power that really anyone was tuning in primarily for them. So you're not going to really have anything affected with their releases in TNA. Now, the X Division, with the release of Petey Williams, Sonjay Dutt, and Jimmy Rave, which I think they never really utilized Jimmy Rave, with those 3 released, that's going to affect the X Division. So they're going to have to really do something to reignite the X Division, and releasing them doesn't really seem like they're trying to really do it, especially with Destination X coming up, not tonight, but next Sunday. And, on the pay-per-view poster, you still have Petey Williams and Sonjay Dutt on there, which is kind of stupid that they're on the poster, promoting that Ultimate X, yet they're not even with the company anymore, but they'll probably switch that at the pay-per-view. But no, it's not going to be any effect to TNA with them no longer being there, but they were good performers. Do you feel that with the creation of this WWE Superstar show on WGN that Vince McMahon is trying his utmost to kill TNA? No, Vince McMahon isn't really trying to kill TNA, or TNA is on WWE's radar, but it's like a little speck on WWE's radar. And Ring of Honor isn't even probably on Ring of Honor's radar. It's as far as competition goes. Now they know Ring of Honor exists, they know TNA exists, but neither one's competition for them. I think with WWE Superstars, it's on Thursday night, an hour before Impact. I think Vince McMahon, he's not trying to really kill TNA or do anything. I think Vince McMahon is just suffering for competition. That's the one thing he really desperately needs. He might not admit that he wants competition, but for the most part, he does want competition. That was what really did good stuff during the Attitude Era, was the competition. And ever since the death of WCW and ECW, Vince McMahon really hasn't had competition. You know, TNA is a little competition, not that, but it's not that much. And you know, Ring of Honor, WWE knows exists, but it's not even competition. And Ring of Honor isn't even trying to be competition. They're pretty much just an alternative. Then the next question, with Kurt Angle's TNA contract apparently going to end in September, what do you think is next for him? A return to WWE, MMA, or Japan? I definitely do not see him trying MMA. I think he's way too old to try MMA, and especially with his neck injuries over the years, it will not be the best move for him to do. Japan, I think, you know, he might have would have thought about this 3-4 years ago, right before he went to TNA, but not now. And, you know, right now it's either re-sign with TNA or go back to WWE. And with TNA's, you know, house schedule and their road schedule starting to almost get up to the level of WWE. Not, you know, as bad as WWE's road schedule, but it's getting pretty close, and especially WWE will offer more money. I will not be shocked if Kurt Angle does want to go back to the WWE. But he might shock us. He might stay in TNA. I guess we just have to wait until September until we actually find out about this. Right now, that's just, you know, a rumor. His contract does end in September, but there are some speculation he might stay in TNA. There's obviously some speculation that he might go back to WWE. So, like I said, we'll just have to wait and see. But I wouldn't be shocked if he did go back to WWE. Then the next question is from Vogras. Who is your favorite jobber of all time? Mine's Iron Mike Sharpe. My favorite jobber of all time is probably Barry Horowitz, Barry Darsow. More people know Barry Darsow as his role either in Demolition or the Repo Man. And I think, you know, the one that was probably one of my favorites was Doink the Clown. When Doink the Clown was doing the, you know, the insane, crazy Doink the Clown, that type of evil Doink, that was, you know, some very good stuff. It might be, looking back, might be a little cheesy, but it was at least good entertainment, I would say. And I still, if I watch it today, I can still find it at least a little enjoyable. Probably not as much as I did back then since I was younger, but still, it was, you know, still good. It's still, you know, good entertainment. So probably, you know, Barry Darsow or Doink the Clown. That's probably my favorite. Or SD Jones. Iron Mike Sharpe, I gotta say, was a pretty good jobber as well. Then the next two questions are from You Can't See Me 619 Triple H. What do you think of Chris Jericho's storyline with the disrespect towards the legends? I think it's a very good storyline. Really enjoying the storyline. I gotta say, even though Triple H and Randy Orton are doing a good job building up their match, which weeks before I would say, you know, I wasn't interested in it. They're building it up pretty good. Now, Chris Jericho, I gotta say, the legend storyline he's got going right now is probably the best thing going in WWE right now. It's really good. Jericho is probably one of the very few wrestlers in a couple years that have been able to get the amount of heat that he's actually drawing with the crowd, and it's legitimate heat. The crowd is just, you know, really against them, and he's doing a great job, you know, with this legend storyline. Hopefully it follows through and actually leads to something good at WrestleMania and not the Jerry the King Lawler rumor. I don't think they would go that route because that would be like, after all this great build-up, that would be like it'll completely fall flat, and everything that's done in the storyline wouldn't matter then. So just as long as they, you know, have a good payoff at WrestleMania, this is definitely a very good storyline for Chris Jericho. Next question, do you think that Lance Hoyt will be good in WWE? I think Lance Hoyt will be a very good addition to WWE. He is a good big man. He has a good look to him, and I think he's a guy that I think WWE would actually utilize and push. Now, the only problem with him, he might have to switch up his in-ring work a little bit because for some parts, not all the time, but he kind of somewhat comes off as a, you know, tall cruiserweight. That's the kind of way he works sometimes, kind of like way Claudio Castagnoli works sometimes in Ring of Honor, works like a tall cruiserweight. And Lance Hoyt, you know, I think he would have to switch that up a little bit for WWE, but I think, you know, he would be a good fit for WWE, and I definitely wouldn't mind seeing WWE pick him up. Next questions are from 111 Clancy 111. What would be your dream match for wrestlers from past to present? I guess you mean wrestler from nowadays taking on someone in the past, you know, just a dream match. Who would you like to see in their prime take on someone? I think, you know, one of my top dream matches of all time, you know, never would happen due to circumstances, and obviously they're in different generations, but, you know, as far as dream matches, you know, something like a Bryan Danielson versus Dynamite Kid, that would have been excellent. A Kurt Angle versus Bret the Hitman Hart would be very, very good. I like to see, AJ Styles and Shawn Michaels. I think that will be very good even right now to this day, because Shawn Michaels is still very good for his age, and he's probably one of the very few guys of his age, him and Jerry Lynn, that actually can still go out in the ring and perform pretty much almost sometimes as good as they did in their prime. Then the next question is, what is in your opinion the worst pay-per-view from WCW, WWE, and TNA? Worst pay-per-view out of all those three is December to Dismember, the WWE ECW, only WWE ECW brand pay-per-view, unless you count the One Night Stand pay-per-views. December to Dismember probably was one of the worst pay-per-views I've ever seen. I've heard a lot of people say, Heroes of Wrestling, which I've never seen that. That was a pay-per-view that aired back in either 99 or 2000s. I've never seen that, but I heard that was very terrible. But as far as worst pay-per-view, I gotta say, out of those companies, definitely December to Dismember. A lot of the WCW 2000 pay-per-views were pretty terrible, but some of them at least had a very good cruiserweight match. And TNA, I gotta say, Final Resolution, the recent one they had, probably, was it in December or January? That one, was a pretty bad pay-per-view, but December to Dismember, I would say, is the worst one of all time that I've seen. Then the next question is, who is the wrestler you like to see the most in Ring of Honor to perform in the ring? The wrestler I like the most in Ring of Honor, to no one's surprise, is Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson is just one of those performers in any wrestling company, and one of the very few wrestlers, probably him and Kurt Angle, that can go out there and pretty much put on a great match with pretty much anyone on the whole entire roster, especially with the talent that Bryan Danielson gets to take on in Ring of Honor on the independent scene and in Japan as well. Bryan Danielson is just definitely the best guy in Ring of Honor at this point. Just like his gimmick says, he's the best in the world, and I really view him as that, because he's definitely one of the best wrestlers going today. Then the next question, who is your favorite announced team of all time? My favorite announced team of all time has got to be Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan. They just, meshed very well with each other, and they were probably two of the very few commentating teams I would actually say you actually wanted to hear what they had to say. You weren't like most commentators today, you just don't want to pay attention to. Bobby the Brain Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon did a very good job together. One of my other favorite, just regular commentators was Jesse Ventura. A lot of people really don't give him the credit he deserved, because Jesse Ventura, I thought, was a very good commentator. He was, the guy that really, started the whole heel commentators, when he did a good job at that. Bobby the Brain Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon, like I said, definitely my favorite announced team of all time, and I think a lot of people will agree. Then the next question is from the Wrestling Show. Do you see any WWE titles mergers or titles brought back into active status, TV, European, hardcore, in the year 2009? I think they need only one women's title and one tag team title defended on all shows. I do possibly see maybe a title merger or title unification match, but I think right now they're kind of teasing it. So they might do it at some point down the line. I do agree with you. They only need to have one women's title and one tag title. The only thing I disagree with you with is you saying that they should be defended on all shows. The way I think it would be done and worked out better is have the women's title on Raw and have the tag titles on SmackDown. You have the women wrestlers that are actually women wrestlers, have them be on Raw. And, any other women, because you obviously want to have women on all the shows, just have the other ones be valets on SmackDown, so they still have a little present on SmackDown as well. As far as tag teams, I would just put all the tag teams on SmackDown and have them defend the titles on that show only. I think that would work out the best way to do it, because I think they could book it in a way, we got an exclusive title on our show and we got another exclusive title on SmackDown. I think that would be the best way they should do it. Unfortunately, I doubt they will, though. Next question is from McFly Bender 89. What do you think of the Edge versus Big Show match at WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight title? Kind of already gave my thoughts out on this on the last video I did, but just throw it out there. Not a good idea for these two to take on each other in a one-on-one match for WrestleMania, but obviously it's going to turn into most likely a triple threat with Edge versus Big Show versus John Cena, and I think they're probably most likely doing it in this way so Edge can still walk out as world champion, and you'll just have Big Show in there, and Big Show be the one to do the job. Don't think it's going to be a good match. I think they really messed up not having Randy Orton versus John Cena in a one-on-one match at WrestleMania, because I thought that was going to be that could have been a match that would have been a great main event. Not only that, it would have been one of those matches you could say, hey, these guys right here are going to be still with us for 5 to 10 years and kind of like showcase it that way, especially for the 25th anniversary of WrestleMania. I think it really would have worked out good. Next question is from Instant Classic G1. I always liked that the ROH World Champion would have multiple feuds at one time. Example, Nigel McGuinness with Jerry Lynn, Tyler Black, Bryan Danielson, and Kevin Steen. What are your thoughts? Would it make TNA and WWE more interesting if they did this? I gotta say, I definitely enjoy Ring of Honor doing this. It's a great thing to see. It really, helps out the title, how long, Nigel has been champion. For example, if Nigel would only had, every 3 to 4 months he would be feuding with the same guy every single show, that wouldn't have worked out. The reason why he has been champion for 17 months is he's been doing a good job. He's definitely doing a great job as a heel in Ring of Honor. He's still, doing a very good job right now, and he's always in there with Bryan Danielson, Tyler Black. Those are his 2 main feuds in Ring of Honor. Then he has other people. Ring of Honor's roster is so good that pretty much most of the roster can at least contend for the world title. Not everyone can win the world championship, be considered world champion, but a lot of the Ring of Honor roster can be considered a world champion contender. And definitely, I like the thing when Ring of Honor does this. Really helps out their title scene and makes it more enjoyable to watch. I think if TNA and WWE did this, their title scene and their title picture for any of the titles would be more enjoyable. WWE kind of did this a little bit back in 2007. Well, from September 2006 to October 2007 with John Cena's 13th month title reign. They kind of did it a little bit with John Cena, but they didn't really do it to the full degree I think they should have done it. Question is from the Phenom 8809. He asks, "What is your opinion on RF video shoot interviews? Do you like the interviews that they do, or if not, what shoot interviews do you like?" As far as the shoot interviews from RF Video, I really enjoy them. I think they do a good job. I know T-Slay 1974, I know he said he didn't really like them. I think he probably doesn't like them mainly due to the fact of the guy that does it, which I really, hate Rob Feinstein as well. But I gotta say, his shoot interviews are pretty good. Now, there are some that, are pretty not that good at all, but most of the ones I've seen from RF Video are very good. Now, I gotta say, right now, the company that's doing the best at shoot interviews is Kayfabe Commentaries. Not only I think they're doing the best shoot interviews right now, they're doing the best, original shoot interviews like the booking series they do, and a lot of other series they do like You Shoot. I really enjoy that a lot, and I think they're doing the best job right now. High Spots does pretty good as well. Years ago they weren't that good, but I'd say within the last year, High Spots has really stepped it up with their production, with their shoot interviews. And RF Video is always that one company that does so many exclusive shoot interviews for the most part, that they always put out some good ones, and they do a lot of them you would never expect would ever been done in the past. Now, the shoot interview market isn't probably as popular as it once was, but shoot interviews are still very enjoyable. I like RF Video, High Spots, and pretty much any of the shoot interviews I really enjoy. I just have to like the person that's getting interviewed. If I like the person, pretty much most of the time it always at least delivers. Next question is from Jericho 2221. Yes, have you seen the movie The Strangers yet with Liv Tyler? And if so, what did you think of it? I thought it was an excellent movie. As far as the movie The Strangers, yes, I have seen it. I saw it pretty much right when it first came out. I thought it was a good horror film, pretty much a typical horror film, nothing really special with it. But I thought, it's at least one of those films I'll classify as good or watchable. It's at least worth going out your way to see, I would say. But I wouldn't classify it as excellent. Now, the next question you asked is, what are your thoughts on the whole Chris Brown and Rihanna situation? This was one of those things I really wasn't ever going to discuss unless someone asked me in a Q&A, and I definitely answered right here. As far as the whole Chris Brown and Rihanna thing, definitely wasn't a fan of Chris Brown at all, but, even if anyone's a fan of him still, I don't understand why they can be fans of him. He's just, piece of shit. That's pretty much what I would classify Chris Brown as. Attacking Rihanna, attacking, a woman for no reason at all. Now, I know there's a lot of Hollywood rumors, but you can't really listen to that. And there's no excuse for Chris Brown attacking Rihanna no matter what was going on in the situation. It's just not the thing you should do in any situation, is put your hands on a woman. Chris Brown, I would just classify him as a complete worthless piece of shit, and I would wish he would get some jail time, but obviously with him being a celebrity and him having so much money, obviously he's going to get out of it, and obviously with Rihanna, for some reason or another, wanting to get back with him for I don't know what reason. That's the thing I don't understand at all, why she wants to get back with him, or anyone in these, like, abusive relationships that normally the women want to get back with the guy. If they expect the guy's actually going to change, then they're just really fucking stupid. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say about that. But yeah, that's all I got to say about Chris Brown. Just, you know, a worthless piece of shit. And now the next question is from Irish Shock. Who do you think will face Y2J at WrestleMania 25? As far as who I think Chris Jericho will take on at WrestleMania 25, I would say who I would love to see him take on is Stone Cold Steve Austin. That would be a good payoff for this Legends feud storyline that they got going. Possibly Hogan, but Hogan reportedly has had back surgery last week, so obviously he's probably not, unless that's, you know, something that WWE is just putting out there to swerve us fans, that's not going to happen. So I would like it to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. Hopefully it's not Jerry the King Lawler. I think, you know, the Lawler thing should be something that should be done on Raw, not done as, you know, a WrestleMania match to, you know, pay off for this whole, you know, Legends feud. I think that would just be completely idiotic to do. Now the next question is from Dipset88. What do you think about Jeff Hardy facing Matt Hardy at WrestleMania? And also, is Triple H versus Randy Orton right for the main event at WrestleMania 25? First off, to Matt and Jeff Hardy, I think it's going to be a good match. I don't think it's going to be an incredible match. Because if anyone remembers, you know, about 5-6 years ago, these two did take on each other in a match, and it wasn't very good. But, you know, Jeff Hardy's really improved over the last year or two, so I can see it being pretty good. Matt Hardy's a very good in-ring performer, and, you know, the whole thing of them being related to each other adds to the heat of the match, so I can see it being pretty good. Now, as far as the Triple H versus Randy Orton match, do I think it's the best match to be main event for WrestleMania 25? Well, out of the two title matches between that and the Raw title match, yes, it's the best main event, but I think the best main event could have been, like I said earlier, the John Cena versus Randy Orton match. I think that would have been a great main event for WrestleMania 25. But Triple H and Randy Orton are doing a good job with their feud and really making it seem like it's at least worthy to be a main event title match at WrestleMania, and they're doing a good job with it, I gotta say. Next question is from JH0189. What are your thoughts on Ric Flair doing appearances for Ring of Honor? As far as Ric Flair doing appearances for Ring of Honor, I think it's a great thing for Ring of Honor. Could possibly be one of those things that get Ring of Honor's name out there more, and more fans will be aware of what Ring of Honor is, because a lot of fans that are probably going to see Ric Flair either in the St. Louis area or coming in June in Manassas, Virginia. A lot of people are mainly probably going for Ric Flair, which is a thing that, you know, the only thing Ring of Honor needs to do is make sure on those shows, put on a very, you know, stacked show, or at least a very enjoyable show that could get, you know, new fans' attention. They'll, you know, want to go out their way to buy some DVDs, you know, check out the pay-per-views, and, you know, just check out more stuff from Ring of Honor. I think that's the thing Ring of Honor really needs to capitalize on these shows that Ric Flair is appearing on. But it's definitely good news for Ring of Honor, and I don't have no problem with him being in Ring of Honor. Obviously, he's just doing appearances. Obviously, he's not going to be doing no match, which I think Ric Flair, no matter what, I think he should never step in a wrestling ring as far as a match goes. Now, he can get in a ring, but I mean, he should never, you know, go out there and actually perform a wrestling match, because he had probably the best send-off a wrestler could ever get at WrestleMania 24, the Hall of Fame, and, you know, the night after on Monday Night Raw. He should never, you know, step in a ring and have a wrestling match ever again. Next two questions is from the Crowd Rip. What are your thoughts of Lil Wayne and his new song, Prom Queen? Lil Wayne, not a fan of him, pretty much not a fan of that much mainstream hip-hop at all. I do gotta say the one thing that Lil Wayne has put out, well, two things actually, is Dedication 1 and Dedication 2, the mixtapes that he done. I think, you know, maybe 2-3 years ago, those were very good. That material in there was very good. And probably the best song on there is probably Georgia Bush. That song is very good. Stuff like that from him, I would like to hear, you know, on his mainstream stuff. But his mainstream stuff is completely, you know, trash. It's terrible. And the Prom Queen song, which is kind of, I guess, now he's trying to be a rock artist or something, which I don't understand why the fuck he wants to do that. I know he plays the guitar, but obviously I don't think his rock career is going to work out. Hopefully it doesn't work out, but unfortunately I think it might, because, you know, if 2.5 million, close to 3 million fans would actually go out and buy his CD, he probably has at least enough diehard fans that possibly might have his rock album at least go, definitely go gold, possibly platinum if he's lucky, but hopefully it doesn't. I don't understand why anyone likes Lil Wayne so much. He's not even classified the best rapper alive in the last 2-3 years. He's not classified that in my book at all. I don't understand why anyone would think he's even in that category. Next question: do you think Undertaker will lose his undefeated streak at WrestleMania to Shawn Michaels? No, I don't think Shawn Michaels will defeat Undertaker at WrestleMania. I think it would be a good match, probably a very good match. Out of the matches so far, that and probably Randy Orton and Triple H probably be, I don't know which one of those two would be the better match. Shawn and Undertaker would be the match I think a lot of people in Texas obviously want to see the most, with them both being from Texas. I think it's going to be a good match. Now, I don't see Undertaker losing his undefeated streak to Shawn. It'd be completely pointless for Shawn Michaels to defeat Undertaker. There will be no purpose to it. What is Shawn Michaels going to get from his career by defeating Undertaker? It will be completely stupid. Then the last question is from the gold standard 00924. Do you miss the days where a wrestler would hold more than one championship belt at a time? Example, Chris Jericho and Angle holding the European IC belts, or Lance Storm holding 3 titles in WCW. What are your thoughts? I never really liked the idea of, a wrestler holding multiple titles at a time. I think the only time it's really worked is like when a wrestler is IC champion and then they win the world championship. Then obviously they're going to have to vacate the IC title. Not a thing I like. I like it more when they have a faction like an Evolution or the Four Horsemen. Factions like that. That the main leader has the world championship. Then you have a tag team in there. Then you have someone hold either the IC, TV title, whatever title it is at that point. I like that a whole lot more when a faction pretty much controls all the titles. I think that's very good when wrestling companies do that. And that's one thing I do miss is like factions being very strong. Last faction that was strong, at least in the mainstream, was probably Evolution and Main Event Mafia. I don't think anyone takes that as a strong force as far as a faction going today. Actually, there was one other question I forgot to answer in here, and I don't got the question written down, but I remember what it was. It was I forgot the user, but it was one question asking when did I get into wrestling, what year did I start watching, and the first year I started watching wrestling as far as a diehard fan, I would say late 96, 97, but before that I was kind of a very casual fan in 95 where I would see little bits and pieces in 95, 96, I would watch more. Than late 96, 97 is when I pretty much been a diehard fan. They wanted to see all the companies no matter what, ECW, WCW, WWF at the time. And, now all the companies I follow, like Ring of Honor, PWG, IWW Mid-South, WWE, TNA, all the Japanese organizations, pretty much have been I would say a very diehard fan probably since, probably 97, 98, I would say. And when I really got into it was, like I said, late 96, early 97, I would say. Most likely around that time. And yeah, that's it for this Q&A. I'll probably do another Q&A within another week or two. Depends on how many questions I get. Depends when I'll do it. Like you always know, send your questions in through either a comment on my channel, through a personal message, or on a comment on this video. And yeah, that's it. Peace.